Yo, what is up everybody? Jumpin' yeah, and today I am back on some Helldivers 2, and I want to give my take on this whole balance issue of this game, because I am about to go and start playing Diablo 4 New Season, and I'm going to not be playing this nearly as much, if at all, for at least a while. And one of the reasons for that is because it's just not been as enjoyable due to the balance. The balance has been an issue. So I want to give you my 3 things that they can do that I think would instantly make this game a lot better and would potentially fix a lot of the balance issues. And also allow them to figure out what is overpowered and maybe adjust it. And also to figure out what is underpowered and then adjust that as well. So number 1, modifiers. They suck. Let's get rid of them completely. Please. These are so bad. I hate them. This one right here, scatter. If this is on and you're fighting bugs, I don't know why this is not a thing with the bots. But if this is on, you just cannot use your orbitals at all. They will miss and they suck. So if that's the case, bring double eagle like everyone else. The 500 kilogram, the Eagle Airstrike, Eagle Napalm, whatever it might be, even rocket pods, bring that. Don't bring any orbitals. No gas, no precision strike, nothing. It's horrible. The cooldown, definitely the best one. Or at least the one that people don't hate the most. This right here, bug spores. It's okay. I kind of like it because it allows me to just focus on the objectives and just do that and be done. But one of the big problems is search and destroy. If that is on and you get search and destroy, where you have to find the little holes, it's almost impossible sometimes to find those holes, and then you just run out of time. It's horrific. Against the bots, it's even worse, because there's only 3 options, and you're always screwed if you are playing on 8 or 9. On 7, it's not as bad because you can go, hey, I want the 25% cooldown increase. It's not that horrific. But the moment I put it on this, now I get the call-in time. Uh-oh. The call-in time also increases the extraction time. That's not cool. The patrols have been changed, and if you're solo or duo or even in a group of 3, you have so many more patrols and stuff. It's just horrible. And the longer the extraction, the worse. Nobody wants that. And all your stuff can miss. And then finally, you lose a stratagem. How am I supposed to use stratagems to deal with major threats if I lose them? And if I was to call them in, they might miss because they are calling in at a weird, awkward time. Very strange stuff here. It needs to be completely gone. Another thing that can be changed just from this alone, and this would be great, and I haven't seen anyone really talk about this, but I've noticed that since the recent patch, if I was to start this operation right here, and if I was to do the eggs, I'm probably going to get a little bug modifier on the eggs. But then if I do this one, I'm probably going to have biospewers. And then if I do this one over here, I'm probably going to get like nursing spewers. Every operation feels that way now, where I'm going to get biospewers at some point. Why is there not a scouting report? You telling me that these destroyers don't have telescopes? We can't just look real quick and see where we're about to land and go, oh, wait a minute, there's biospewers there. And put that in a report? Just tell us the modifier, please. If you told us the modifier, this game would be so much better. Because one thing is that we can actually change our loadout. One of the problems is meta. Everybody uses the same stuff. Why? It's because it's the best option against the most things. You don't know what you're going to fight. So you don't want to go into one thing thinking you're going to fight something, and then it's the complete opposite, and you're useless. No player, no matter what the skill level is, wants to feel useless and be getting carried by everybody. And you know it. If you don't know you're getting carried, that's one thing. But if you know, I'm doing nothing, and I am not helping the team, it's a horrible feeling. So if we know what we're going to fight, we can absolutely adjust. And biospewers are the best thing to kind of talk about because If I knew that I was going to get biospewers, my loadout would absolutely change. If I knew I was going to fight biospewers, I would consider supply backpack, grenade launcher. That's a good combo against them. I can really take them out very quickly with that. Or I could go maybe autocannon. Autocannon, and with 3 stratagems, that can be pretty good against biospewers. Or maybe, just maybe, I can even go for the railgun, knowing that if I charge it up, if I get the headshot, I'll take them out one shot. Pretty good stuff. See what I'm saying? It would completely change the meta, because there wouldn't really be a meta. Oh man, we're going to fight a bunch of little bugs, and we know it. Well, let's bring our Incendiary Breaker, our Napalm Strike, or Gas Strike, and it should work really great. Now, I'm sure that they may be worried that if they do that, where it will say, biospewers have been spotted, I'm just not going to pick this mission ever. Well, I would say that you can kind of adjust for that by making some missions more rewarding than others. You get a bigger bonus at the end. Instead of 250% bonus for Helldive, maybe if you were fighting bio modifier, you're getting 300% at the end. Little things like that can help, but just overall, knowing what we're going to fight would be huge. Now the final big change, and this is the one. The first 2 I named there, they could literally do that overnight. It'd take them 5 seconds. Remove the modifiers and give us a scouting report to tell us what we're going to be fighting. Easy, easy. This one is a more major change that I have no idea on if they could do it or not, but I absolutely think that they should. You guys, give me your opinions on what you think about this. I am very curious to know it, but I've thought about it a little bit, and I think that every single primary in this game should have medium armor pin. They should do away with light armor pin. Light armor pin should only be a thing for secondary guns and certain machine gun primaries, and we're talking like machine guns, ones that are going to have huge magazines, and the whole point is to spray and spray and spray. Those weapons can have light armor pin potentially. And then also, you could argue that elemental-based weapons like the Firebreaker could be light armor pin if they bring out acid in the future, which would be awesome, by the way. Putting fire on weapons is one of the easiest things you could ever do. I want a fire defender. I want a fire liberator. I want an acid defender. I want an acid liberator. I want an acid breaker. And same with the Punisher. I want different elements on like all these guns. So that's an easy thing to do. But you could argue that elemental-based stuff could have light armor pin. But everything else should have medium. The logic behind that is very sound. We are in a war with bugs that have tons of armor. And we are at war with bots that have tons of armor. And we have standard weapons that don't do anything against armor. It just doesn't even make any sense. On the military side of it, we should have medium armor pin on all of the primary weapons. And then the ones that currently have the medium armor pin, like the Penetrator here, should have a heavy armor pin. And what that does is that it can strip armor. So if you could do enough damage, and you know, this could take a lot of shots potentially, or a certain amount of shots, a fair amount of shots. But if you do enough damage to a charger's leg with the Penetrator, armor comes off and you get a drumstick. Now you can actually kill that charger using your primary gun. Same thing with the Adjudicator. It can do that. The Counter Sniper. The Slugger. Let's read the Slugger. Perfect for punching big holes in big targets. No. It really doesn't do that. I would like it to do that. Let's punch some holes. Let's make this thing be able to take off the armor. And let's see what else we have. The Eruptor, this would make sense. The Dominator, this would make a lot of sense. I think that the Exploding Crossbow should be given at least medium armor pin, but maybe heavy armor pin. Now, certain weapons you could argue might be broken beyond belief. It could be insane if they have medium armor pin. That's fine. If they are, adjust them. It's that simple. It's better to have things insanely overpowered and then have them be nerfed to be brought back to reality than to have everything suck and have one thing that's kind of good. And because it's kind of good, everyone thinks it's overpowered. Because that's what's happened in this game. And I will talk about that in a second. But this is one weapon I can see with medium armor pen that could be crazy. My biggest complaint with the plasma shotgun is that when you are firing at certain medium enemies, like brood commanders for the bugs, or the devastators for the bots, it can take like 5-6 shots sometimes. With medium armor pen, it maybe would only take 3. I don't know. But would that be nuts? I don't think so. Elemental based stuff, I don't know about the armor pen because, who knows? Doesn't really need it. The Scorcher with medium armor pen, it could be crazy. I don't care. Now this gun here, the new one, imagine if you could charge this up in one shot and take off a charger's leg. This would be such an amazing weapon. Imagine if you could shoot this at bots and just strip massive pieces of armor off of them. This would be amazing. Now, of course, you have to adjust the stratagems to go with this. So let's talk about that for a second. The first thing I can think of is the autocannon. The autocannon is one of the most fair and balanced weapons in the game. It is amazing against the bots. And the reason why it's amazing is because the bots actually have weak points, where the bugs, they just don't. Now imagine, you could shoot the autocannon into the face of a Bio-Titan and kill it. It could take a certain amount of shots, but you can do that. Imagine you could shoot a charger's leg and take the leg off, and then shoot it again to kill it. This weapon would be so much better if it could do that. And that's the same thing with the grenade launcher. If the grenade launcher could strip armor from the charger's leg or certain bots, it would be so much better. Same thing with the anti-material, same thing with the laser cannon. The railgun can already do that, but we can make it better at doing that. Instead of 2 shots, it can do 1 shot to strip the armor from a charger, something like that. I think if they do those 3 things, what they can then do is sit back and just watch what happens. Let's have this medium armor pen and all this stuff, and then let's let the players go out there and experiment and figure out what's overpowered. And once we figure out things that are just way too strong, you nerf them. Bring them back to reality. Things that are underperforming and are weak, maybe we can up the damage. Maybe we have to up the magazine size of certain weapons, or the handling, or the reload times. Whatever it is, you can figure that out. As of right now, if it doesn't have medium armor pin on it, it's trash. So, let me talk about one thing real quick. The breaker and the railgun is a prime example of this. When the game first came out, these were the best weapons, by far. Like, the best combo, it was meta. But the reason why was because everything else sucked. At the time, all the primaries were so bad. They were just awful. And then you use the breaker and it was actually decent. It was kind of good. But now, this very moment, if you brought this weapon back with the magazine, the recoil, everything, just brought it back to where it was, there is no way I would use this thing. Because it's light armor pen. If I'm fighting bugs, I'm using this thing. Way better for a breaker. If I'm fighting bots, I'm going to use the Jar Dominator. Or I'm going to use the plasma shotgun. I'm not going to use the breaker. Not right now. But at the time, it was overpowered. Only because it was just so much better than everything else. Because everything else sucked. Same thing with the railgun. There was a lot of confusion by the balance team. They were like watching streams and saying, oh wow, people are one-shotting Bio-Titans with the arc thrower. And they're one-shotting them with the railgun. Those weapons are insane. Let's nerf those weapons. No, that was a glitch. Same thing with why fire was so bad. The only reason this gun is so good is because they were confused about fire. They buffed fire multiple times, and this gun was affected by a lot of those buffs. That's why this gun is good. And then, on top of that, they did actually up the base damage of it. Combine the 2 things together, it's an amazing gun now. But it was kind of an accident. Just be aware of that. And it's the same thing with a lot of the weapons. It's almost like they're accidentally good. They're all meant to be bad. It makes no sense. Putting medium armor pen on everything will make everything just feel better. And then from there, you can just kind of adjust things. Now, another thing I wanted to bring up real quick is war bonds, and that is how this game doesn't make any sense with this. Because most games, when they come out with a war bond, or they come out with new stuff that you can get, the stuff is going to be really, really good. In fact, it might even be overpowered, where it needs to be nerfed. That's fine, in my opinion. That's what you want. You want the people getting the new stuff. Now, there is no doubt in my mind that more people buy this than farm for it. And I say that because when you actually look at it, the amount of people who play this game, a lot of people, they are only playing a couple hours, they're working, they don't have time to get to level 124. So when something comes out like that, they're going to probably have to spend a little money to get the super credits to make up what they're missing. And if it's $10, is this worth $10? Absolutely not. This is completely trash. The only thing in here that's kind of okay is the SMG and the grenade. This assault rifle is so bad, it's ridiculous. When something like this comes out, what I should be saying is that this assault rifle is one of the best assault rifles. I don't have to say it's the best one, but it should definitely be one of the best ones. It should feel like that right out the gate. This SMG, I should be able to say this is one of the best SMGs. And then finally, your final weapon, your premier weapon. This should be one of the best weapons in the game. Right out the gate. And in the future, if it needs to be adjusted because it's so good, you can adjust it. But let it be good. And by the way, if you want my opinion on what to do with that gun, outside of the heavy armor pin, they also should make it 500 damage. Double the damage. In fact, I'm like crazy enough to say that a lot of this stuff should almost have double the damage. I think the Liberator should have 100 damage. If everything's going to be based off of this weapon, let's have a 100 damage assault rifle with medium armor pen be the basic gun in the game. And everything else can be based around that. This gun should be changed. It should be a slow fire rate, really hard hitting, heavy pen weapon, in my opinion. And maybe it should be either semi only and burst only, but again with a slow fire rate but really hard hitting. That's what I was expecting out of that thing. Alrighty guys, well I think that's about everything I wanted to talk about. I could actually just talk about every weapon and literally go over what I think they should do, because a lot of it is magazine size, recoil, there's tons of stuff. I just wish so many guns would have a little bit more in their magazine, and I feel like they would just feel amazing. But that's going to do it for this. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, will you please like the video for me? Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day, and peace out.